Right now at 4:30, special request.
One of the men accused of drugging and raping women with former St. Darren Sharper does not want to be tried with his co-defendant. What Eric Nunez's attorney says his client is being treated unfairly.
And special delivery, a baby girl came into this world with the help of this Jefferson Parish deputy. How she came to an expecting mother's rescue.
And tracking the tropics, another storm brewing in the Atlantic. Damon Singleton, is Hurricane Fred threatening any areas right now?
Well, the only areas that it's threatening in the Cape Verde Islands. Nothing else in its path at this moment. I'll show you the National Hurricane Center forecast track for Fred coming up in a minute.
This is breaking news on WDSU.
We begin this morning with breaking news.
That's right. Right now, firefighters are battling a massive fire at a 7th Ward nightclub. This is a live look at the scene for you, with smoke now coming out of the roof of Club Fusions, which is at the corner of AP Toro and Aubrey Streets. Now, this broke out about an hour ago. No word yet on what may have sparked this blaze, and no injuries have been reported as of yet. But again, you are taking a live look at the scene. Earlier, we were seeing flames shooting through the roof of this building here in the 7th Ward. This is a 2-alarm fire. Expect a lot of street closures as firefighters work to battle that fire.
Absolutely. Good morning. I'm Latanya Norton in for Charles Divins.
And I'm Randy Russo. Let's go ahead and get a check of your exact cast right now with Damon Singleton, who, of course, is tracking another hurricane, Latanya.
Yes, that's right. What's the latest, Damon?
Well, Hurricane Fred is actually very unusual for a hurricane to develop so close to the African coastline. In fact, this is maybe the only time that it's happened before, but it is moving into the eastern Cape Verde Islands right now, and it is strengthening. It is well out into the Atlantic, as you see, well away from us here in southeast Louisiana. It's got 80-mile-per-hour winds right now, and it is moving northwest at about 12 miles per hour. So it is going to continue to strengthen as a Category 1 storm, but we're not expecting much from Fred over the course of the next a couple of days. It's probably going to end up in the central Atlantic just as a fish storm. Otherwise, across the rest of the Atlantic, things are looking mostly quiet. The Gulf and the Caribbean are nice and quiet as well. And when I come back, I'm going to show you another really unusual thing happening in the tropics that you're really going to be impressed by. But now off to Randy Russo and Time Saver Traffic.
I don't think I will ever be impressed by anything in the tropics, David Singleton. At least I don't want to be impressed, I guess. All right, well, here's a live look as you're making your way inbound from Kenner this morning. This is I-10 as you're traveling near Loyola. No accidents or breakdowns reported by any of your public agencies at this hour. But as we showed you a little earlier in the 7th Ward, expect some street closures there around AP Toro, also Aubrey Streets as crews battle that 2-alarm fire. We're going to continue to follow that. But if you're making your way inbound from the North Shore as well, no advisories or restrictions for that causeway commute.
Also this morning, a former waiter accused in state court of raping 2 women with former New Orleans Saint safety Darren Sharper has a special request.
That's right. Eric Nunez is asking that he be tried separately from a former sheriff's deputy who's also accused in this case.
Nunez and Brandon Lichardi are the remaining defendants in state and federal cases in which Sharper has pleaded guilty. Nunez was added to the federal indictment last month on a charge of impeding a grand jury investigation. His attorneys argue that unfairly ties him in with Lichardi. Charges against the former deputy include distributing drugs with intent to commit rape. A judge set a September 10th hearing on the motion.
Close friend, brother, and positive role model. That's how many are describing a SUNO student who was murdered Saturday morning in Gretna. Members of the community are mourning the tragic death of 22-year-old Devon Leggett, a young man who many say was trying to become a teacher. He was visiting a friend in Gretna when police say he was shot multiple times outside of an apartment complex along Whitney Avenue. His family says that his death is the result of an attempted armed robbery.
He always told me about his dreams and aspirations of being a teacher and being able to help youth who were in trouble, who came from some of the same neighborhoods that he grew up here in New Orleans.
A 4th-year education major, Leggett was an original member of the Honoré Center at SUNO and just spent the summer doing volunteer work at one of SUNO's summer institutes for kids.
A teenager is recovering this morning after being shot in the 7th Ward. It happened around 7:30 Sunday morning at the corner of Annette and Murray Streets. And police say the 17-year-old boy was shot in the stomach and arm. His condition is unknown at this time. Call Crime Stoppers if you know anything about the shooting that can help police.
Well, now to Livingston Parish, where deputies are searching for a man wanted for a weekend shooting. So take a look at your screen here. This is Jonathan DeBacco. Investigators say that his hair is actually longer now than in this picture, but he was last seen at the Arnold Road, Butch Bennett Road area. Now he should be considered armed and dangerous. If you do see him, just call 911.
And Randy, several men and women are now training in hopes of becoming Louisiana State Troopers.
About 75 new recruits attended their first Academy cadet class on Sunday.
And throughout the 16-week Academy, cadets will be given classroom instruction on topics such as state and federal laws, ethics, crash investigation, and impaired driver detection. The cadets will also participate in various practical and field training exercises consisting of scenario-based training, pursuit driving, firearms training, defensive tactics, and rigorous daily physical fitness routine. And when they finish the academy, the new troopers will participate in a 10 to 14-week field training program while supervised by a senior Louisiana State Trooper.
And you know, that recruit class began 1 week to the day that a Louisiana State Trooper in Lake Charles was gunned down while checking on a vehicle that was stuck in a ditch. Thousands of people paid their respects to Trooper Stephen Vincent Saturday. During Vincent's 13-year tenure with the state police, he received 13 awards and commendations, and he's also survived by his wife and 9-year-old son. And this picture taken during the funeral is really resonating with people across Louisiana this morning. It shows Colonel Mike Edmondson there on your left, and then Vincent's 9-year-old son Ethan on your right, saluting his father's casket. This picture has gone viral on social media as many across the state remember the fallen trooper.
Absolutely. Well, this story will make you smile. A Jefferson Parish deputy is being applauded for helping to deliver a baby girl Saturday. Say hello to little Emily Victoria. She's named after the deputy who helped bring her into the world, Deputy Emily Brenzer. The deputy says when she arrived, the mother had already been pushing. The baby didn't wait until medical services to arrive, so Deputy Brenzer went from looking for the bad guys to helping bring hope into the world.
I think I told her to wait several times. Being a recent mother, I know that you can't wait, but she basically did everything. She knew what she was doing, and I just assisted her along.
The mother and little Emily Victoria were taken to West Jefferson Medical Center, where doctors say both mom and 7-pound, 6-ounce baby girl were in good health.
Beautiful story. Well, turning now to that Confederate flag controversy in a high school in northern Louisiana is restricting Confederate battle flags that have been displayed for decades at athletic events. At West Monroe High School, their team is called the Rebels, but students are now banned from flying the rebel flag from their vehicles on campus. However, clothing featuring that flag will still be allowed at games, and fans can still carry rebel flags, just not on poles or sticks.
And triumph out of tragedy, the stories of young people who have made big contributions in the community, even though you may not hear their stories every day. It's an exhibit held in commemoration of the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, and the goal is to challenge negative images you see of young people in the city and tell the stories of kids who've earned millions in scholarships, own their own businesses, or hold national titles, have overcome terminal illnesses, and even a top kid chef.
We're rallying, even after this exhibit, we're rallying that these images are what needs to be infused into mainstream media, because if people on CNN only see the Mother's Day shooting over and over 50 times, you're going to think that's what New Orleans is, when clearly that's not the case. You're showing one case over and over when the kids who are making great decisions in life outnumber kids who made the wrong decisions.
The exhibit was organized by the Euthanasia Foundation and their Future Icons of New Orleans program.
Well, Miss Louisiana April Nelson is waking up in Atlantic City this morning preparing for the Miss America pageant. She left Saturday afternoon hoping to become the first Miss Louisiana crowned Miss America. She's from Mandeville and was selected from 35 women in the 52nd annual Miss Louisiana pageant in June. Preliminary competition for Miss America starts September 7th, again in Atlantic City. Also, the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club held its annual picnic Sunday at City Park. There were activities and also attorneys on hand to offer free legal advice on several topics. There were also several contests held, including a coconut contest, a barbecue contest, even a hula hoop contest.
And right now, we check in with exact weather meteorologist Damon Singleton for the very latest on Hurricane Fred.
Hurricane Fred, well out in the Atlantic, just making its way over the Cape Verde Islands.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing. It's it usually takes a tropical wave, several hundred miles past the Cape Verde Islands to start threatening as a tropical depression even. But now we have a hurricane. But let me start with the national picture here and show you locally that we've got some great weather overall across most of southeast Louisiana and a good portion of the southeastern part of the country. All this moisture that you see over Florida and parts of the eastern seaboard, well, that's all a lot of that is a result of Erica, or the remnants of Erica that's moving up the eastern seaboard and over Florida right now, while here in southeast Louisiana, we've got some pretty decent conditions. Some dry air for the most part in the mid-levels and the upper levels, drier air over to the west of us in parts of Texas, that's for sure. But here in southeast Louisiana, our radar picture is nice and clear. I'm expecting an isolated shower or two, but not more than an isolated shower or two this afternoon. So overall, I think it's going to be a pretty good day, but be ready because the temperatures are going to be higher than we've seen for the last couple of days. Right now, we're in the upper 60s to the low 70s on the North Shore, down here on the South Shore as well. On the Mississippi Gulf Coast, 73 degrees in Gulfport and over in Biloxi, 79 in Boothville and over the Lakefront Airport. And I'm expecting those temperatures by 9 a.m. to rise into the upper 70s to the low 80s north and south of the lake. The Mississippi Gulf Coast as well. A light northerly wind will be with us at that time. By noontime, your temperatures upper 80s to the low 90s. The winds are variable. Some light for the most part for most of the day. And I think our highs this afternoon, and get ready, these numbers are once again in the low to the mid 90s. So I think some of these numbers are going to be higher than what you see here on our graphic, and of course the chance of rainfall today at about 10%. So most of us are going to stay absolutely dry for the first couple of days of the week, and then the rain's going to start rolling in towards Thursday and Friday. But tomorrow morning, on Tuesday morning, we'll wake to temperatures in the low 70s for the most part, some mid 70s out there as well. And Tuesday afternoon, some temperatures that are probably going to be a little bit higher than what we're going to see this afternoon. So Randy, the heat is back and the rain chance remain pretty low.
You could start to feel it yesterday, Damon Singleton. Say it ain't so. Well, the good thing out there right now on the roadways, clear conditions. If you're making your way across I-10 from Kenner all the way through to the CBD this morning, very light traffic. No accidents or breakdowns reported on this stretch of the interstate. Also clear out of New Orleans East.
And now another look at breaking news happening right now in the city of New Orleans. Take a live look. The scene of a fire.
That's right, a massive fire here at a 7th Ward nightclub. So this is a live look. You can see a lot of firefighters here at the scene, a lot of smoke in the area. This is all happening at Club Fusions at the corner of AP Toro and also Aubrey Streets. Now you can kind of see the building there in the midst of all that, the haze from all of the smoke. Earlier we were seeing flames just shooting from the top of this club. The fire we were told broke out around 3:30 this morning. Here's a look at video that we did shoot a little earlier showing those flames. Luckily no injuries right now, but we are told that this is a 2-alarm fire. Traffic in this stretch of the 7th Ward may be reduced or limited. Some of these streets shut down, and of course no word as of yet as to what sparked that fire.
Absolutely, still very early in the investigation.
Well, Bernie Sanders gained support while Hillary Clinton drops sharply in a new poll of Iowa Democrats.
And there are two from the GOP camp who are topping the field by a huge margin this morning. We'll have the latest from the 2016 campaign trail.
And don't forget, you'll find our exact weather forecast every weekday morning on Old School 106.7, The Ticket 106.1, Nash 92.3, and Power 102.9. At 4:45 across America today, in a new poll out this morning from Iowa, Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is gaining support, while former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has dropped sharply.
And meanwhile, on the Republican side from the Hawkeye State, two anti-establishment outsiders, Donald Trump and Ben Carson, are topping the field.
Reporter Tracy Potts explains what these new numbers say about the mood of early state voters.
In Iowa, Hillary Clinton is only 7 points ahead of Bernie Sanders in the latest Bloomberg Des Moines Register poll. In May, she had a 41-point lead.
The gains that we are seeing and the enthusiasm and the huge crowds that we are seeing, this is not anti-Hillary Clinton. This is pro-Bernie Sanders.
Vice President Joe Biden, who hasn't even announced yet, is pulling double digits. On the Republican side, Donald Trump still leads, but he's only 5 points ahead of Ben Carson. Trump says he may still run as an independent.
We're going to make a decision very soon, and I think a lot of people are going to be very happy.
Now it's Donald. In 3 weeks, it could be somebody else.
All other Republicans are in single digits.
What the polls tell me is that nobody has any real votes right now.
People are fed up with Washington. They're looking for someone who will stand up to Washington.
As for Hillary Clinton, that poll shows she's slipping in Iowa, but still 2/3 of Democrats say they would support her if she were the nominee. Tracy Potts, NBC News, Washington.
Well, unfortunately, the Saints lose again, this time to the Houston Texans in the Superdome.
But despite yesterday's loss, find out the rookie player that Coach Sean Payton is raving about this morning.
Well, too many penalties, too little of Drew Brees, and a defense that continues to struggle. All of this adding up to a 27-13 Houston Texans win.
That's right. The Saints outgained the Texans 393 yards to 292. Backup running back Edwin Baker had one of the plays of the day, scoring a 45-yard run, but it just wasn't enough. And now for post-game reaction from Sunday's loss, here's WDSU sports anchor Sharif Ishak.
So when the starters don't play that much in a preseason game, other guys get a chance to make a name for themselves. Two guys who took that opportunity, ran with it, were Marcus Murphy and Willie Snead. Murphy had the huge game, 110 total yards, and after the game, Sean Payton was really gushing about Murphy.
I like the player. I like the player. He's making this team. He's making this team.
Talk about the faith that your head coach has in you. How does that help your confidence just, going into the season?
I mean, it helps a lot. Every week, as a rookie, I just pride myself in going out, showing that I can make a play so the coaches can be comfortable, enough to put me in a game situation.
Sean Payton calls the rookie from Missouri very versatile, and that versatility excites Payton the most in the return game.
I like it when the young player, regardless of where he's at in the end zone in the preseason, is saying, hey, it's not a question if I'm coming out or not. It's where I'm going. I'm coming out. I like that. I think it gives us a chance to evaluate some guys, and I think Marcus is taking advantage of some of those snaps.
I have some high expectations for myself. I think I'm doing good. I haven't quite reached my expectations yet, but I think I'm working good towards it.
Expectations are also high for Willie Snead. The second-year receiver from Ball State had 4 catches for 56 yards and earned each catch and every one of those yards against the Texans.
In my mind, I just feel like if the ball's in there, I'm coming down with it. And that's just, I pride myself on catching the ball every day, catching everything. So whenever I do see the ball in there or it looks like it's going to be a tough catch, I just compete for the ball and just try to make a play.
Snead is certainly a guy who's gaining a ton of confidence each time he touches the field.
I just feel like the coaches are starting to trust me now, giving me a little bit more reps here and there with the 1s and 2s. So I just got to keep making sure I make the most of every opportunity that I get.
All right, it's a big week for the Saints. Tuesday is their first cut. They'll go from 90 to 75 players. Then their final preseason game on Thursday in Green Bay against the Packers. Then on Saturday, it's the big day, the final cut, as the Saints will trim their roster to their final 53. On your side in the Superdome, Sharif Ishaq, WDSU News.
I got to see Damon Singleton right after this game. He had tears in his eyes.
I know he did. I know he did. I think I still see some tears. Are you okay?
Well, we just had to relive it. I'm okay.
Preseason.
Preseason. You're right. You're
Okay.
right. Just remember, it's preseason. Right. We've got some unusual stuff happening in the tropics.
Yeah, speaking of one season that's really active, hurricane season right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's, for us it's not that active, but for the Pacific it's really active, and for us right now what is unusual is Hurricane Fred, and that's what we have here in this picture. And we don't see hurricanes developing before they pass the Cape Verde Islands, but Fred is a Category 1 hurricane with some very strong winds at 80 miles per hour. And it's moving northwest at 12 miles per hour. Let me show you what the National Hurricane Center says this storm is going to do over the next couple of days. And the news is good. It's going to maintain that Category 1 status for a little while longer and then make its way into like the central Atlantic. And it looks like it's going to become a tropical storm once again, and then a remnant low and just kind of die out over the Atlantic as a fish storm. So that's some good news for us. And looks like it's not going to get too close to the eastern seaboard of the United States, which is right over here. So just keep that in mind. We'll keep you as up to date with it as possible. The rest of the Atlantic is looking nice and quiet for the most part. Out in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, things are nice and quiet. But take a look at this. Out in the Pacific, this is another unusual occurrence. We've got 3 hurricanes, 2 of those being major, all 3 of them being major hurricanes. One of them is Kilo, which is well out into the Pacific, a Category 4 storm there. Here are the Hawaiian Islands. Here is Ignacio, a Category 3 hurricane. And of course, we have Hurricane Yemena, a Category 4 hurricane, which is also out in the Pacific. And then beyond that, or just off the Central America, is another area of low pressure that has the potential, real potential, like a 90% chance of becoming a hurricane as well. So a lot of active stuff taking place out in the Pacific. Here in southeast Louisiana, we're looking pretty good. High pressure, for the most part, is in charge of our weather, bringing us some pretty nice skies across the area this morning, across southeastern part of the country. The radar picture is nice and clear. For the most part, it's going to stay that way all day long today. I think we're going to see a couple isolated showers this afternoon, but I'm not expecting more than a couple of isolated showers. showers. In fact, I'll put the model into motion. You can see some activity just off into the Gulf of Mexico there. Then a couple of showers appearing in the afternoon hours. Tuesday is looking like a pretty good day as well, with low rain chance at about 10% or less. And I think on Wednesday, we've got about a 10 to 20% chance of rainfall, but our big rain chances I think are going to start bouncing back up on Thursday and on Friday. Right now it's 76 degrees at the airports, mostly clear skies, 79% humidity outside. Your temperatures this afternoon by noontime will be rising into the upper 80s for the most part. I think we'll see temperatures in the low to mid 90s for your highs this afternoon. About 6 p.m. we're back down into the mid 80s. Here's a quick look at your 7-day forecast showing you the heat that is back with us once again for at least for the first couple of days of the week. Susan, I haven't seen you in a while.
I know, Damon, I just went with you on Saturday. It's Monday. Rise and shine, early birds. I know it's going to be a rough one this morning, trying to get back in the groove of things, but you can do it. Got to get those kids ready for school, got to get yourself ready for work. And if you are hitting the roadways, as far as our major thoroughfares are concerned, we're looking good. Light traffic out in the east. It looks like we have a stalled vehicle on eastbound I-10 just past Schaff-Ventura Highway, but not even affecting traffic. But if you are out there, just watch out for that car as it tries to figure out what is going on and what's going to happen next. Anyways, if you're making way inbound towards the CBD, 52 miles per hour over the high rise, and the speeds are pretty much going to remain the same all the way to the CBD, 60 miles per hour, 7-minute drive inbound from Schaff-Ventura Highway to the CBD. Now, we've been telling about that 7th Ward fire at Club Fusions located at Epituro and North Galveston. As far as your alternates, you may want to just take St. Bernard or you can take Allen Street. But again, lots of fire trucks in this area, so watch out for those street closures. Randy, back to you at the desk.
All right, thank you, Susan. Bluebell is set to return to some grocery store freezers months after a national recall for listeria concerns.
Straight ahead at 5 o'clock, when you'll see their products back on store shelves here in Louisiana. You're watching WDSU News this morning on your side in Southeast Louisiana. Stay with us.